What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to tell you how I avoid buying counterfeit textbooks to resell on Amazon because whether we like it or not, it's part of the game, and it really is unfortunate that there are counterfeit books out there that could jeopardize your Amazon selling account. I'm going to go through a story of how actually my account got suspended for selling counterfeit textbooks unknowingly, and I'm going to walk you through what I do now to prevent myself from buying those books and basically getting in trouble again. So, a counterfeit textbook, for those of you who don't know, because textbooks are worth so much money, there are people out there that want to counterfeit them to sell them because they want to make money. But the unfortunate thing about that is if you are sourcing books, whether that be on Amazon itself, on eBay, out in the wild, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, wherever it may be, there is a possibility that your books are counterfeited. And if you send them in Amazon, your account could be at risk for suspensions. So story time for you. In January 2021, I actually had 3 of my books out of about 1,000 books that I sold in the past year that got called out for being counterfeit copies. And what happened is the publisher actually purchased the books directly from me on Amazon. They shipped into their warehouse and they actually just inspected them themselves. They deemed that it was counterfeit. And then they came back to Amazon and said, hey, this person is selling a counterfeit book. You need to go after them and tell them to show you documentation that they can actually sell these books. And me being someone who's just sourcing books from college students who didn't have an actual wholesale account open, I didn't have any invoices. So really there's nothing that I can do. And so long story short, I had to end up hiring an Amazon attorney and spend like $1,500 in about 2 to 3 months. And eventually my account went from being suspended to reinstated, but it was definitely not a good experience. So we're going to go through what some of those counterfeit textbooks look like, and I'm going to show you this website called BooksRun and their counterfeit probability calculator, and how you can. I'm going to tell you about that calculator and how you can use it for your business. So let's go ahead and just start off with what the calculator is. So if you just go to BooksRun, there's a book counterfeit probability check calculator here. You could just type it in on the URL or into Google here as well, and lo and behold, this is one of the culprits asking the right questions. This is one of the books that I bought that I got called out on that resulted in me being suspended. And I will forever hate this book for that reason. But all you can do is take the ISBN of this book and you can go ahead and just copy and paste it. And it will go ahead and return a result. It'll say either highly likely, likely, or unlikely. Now, obviously, this says highly likely. And if at the time I was using this calculator, when I was buying books, I wouldn't have actually bought the book. But at that time, I wasn't even aware that counterfeit books were a thing. And I definitely wasn't using this tool. So that's basically how the calculator works. Highly likely, likely, or unlikely. What I do in my Amazon business is when I'm sourcing books online, I'll make sure to plug this in before I buy it. And if it's unlikely, I'm just going to send it to my prep center. Now, technically, that's not the best thing that I should be doing for my business. What would be better is if I actually had my own warehouse and trained my own employees to be able to inspect the copies to make sure that they weren't counterfeit. But so I am gambling a little bit, but I am just sending those to the warehouse if they're unlikely to be counterfeited. If they're likely or highly likely to be counterfeited, I will not purchase them and resell them on Amazon. However, I shouldn't say I won't purchase them. I won't sell them on Amazon. What I might do is, if they're likely or highly likely, is message the seller and communicate with them a little bit and say, hey, where did you get this book from? Is this an actual legitimate copy from the true publisher? Could you describe the book to me? What is the color of the glue binding look like? What do the pages feel like? And try to get a feel for it. Is it counterfeit or not? And if it turns out that everything looks good, that it looks like it is a legitimate copy, I still won't sell it on Amazon. But a lot of the times through Bookfinder, I can just type in the ISBN and look at a textbook buyback company. And oftentimes they might be giving me more money back for that book than what the person is selling it to me. So I might go ahead and just do that. If I get the book, shipped to my apartment here, I can inspect it. Usually I'm pretty good at telling, I wouldn't say I'm 100% accurate, but I'm pretty good at probably determining most cases when the book's counterfeit or not. And I might also just sell it on eBay or sell it to a buyback company. So one of those two things. But let's go and take a look at kind of what to be looking out there for if you're someone who's buying textbooks. Okay, so the first thing is the binding. And you can see that these are some pictures of books that you see this glue that looks very white or very yellow. So that's the number one giveaway is if you look at the color of the glue and it's yellow or white, it's likely that that's going to be a counterfeit book, especially if in the calculator it says that it's likely or highly likely. Now, generally when you do buy books, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but you can see usually the binding is going to be a little bit of a like a gray or a black color. It's going to be a little bit of a darker color. Generally, that's what most books glue binding looks like. Now, for the ribbons, right? Some of the hardcover textbooks, they're not actually glued; they're ribboned in. Sometimes those ribbons also look a little bit off as well. Okay, pages and paper. So the page is actually a big one. It's like most textbooks have a glossy feel to them. The pages do, and if you ever have a book that the paper feels like printer paper, like that's a dead giveaway. That's a counterfeit book. I bought a couple of books like that before, and it sucks. You got to throw them away, but it is what it is. So generally, the paper is going to feel a little bit glossier. Okay, and they say counterfeits have that cheaper plain paper. Okay, let's go. So number 3, the width. So when you look at the counterfeit books, a lot of times their dimensions are not the same. So on the right, we have a counterfeit book that's a little bit smaller. Its length isn't as long, and that's something to look out. Now, one thing that's difficult though is that if you buy a book and you suspect that's counterfeit, it's not like you have anything to compare it to unless you want to go on their website and pay full retail for it. Like, most people are not going to want to do that, but really the only true way is to have both the legitimate copy next to the suspected or the alleged illegitimate copy or the counterfeited copy, and to compare that way. And so, yeah, a lot of times that's going to be difficult, but you can see that they can be smaller. They can also be narrower. And also their thickness can be different. So sometimes they're a little bit thinner, sometimes they're a little bit thicker. And again, really the only way to know that is if you have both copies. And actually the interesting thing is a lot of people on Amazon are selling these counterfeited textbooks, probably unknowingly. So you can't even rely on buying a book from Amazon and using that as a measuring stick to look at your copy, because oftentimes the books that you're buying on Amazon are also counterfeited books. So it kind of is just a messy situation. All right, here's a great example of the glue binding, the color. You see how it's like this yellow color? That's definitely the counterfeit. So if you ever see something like that, if it's white or yellow like that, not looking good, the original, like this darker tan or gray color, generally are going to be pretty good. Okay, so cover art. Sometimes the cover art is the quality of it is a little bit lower quality. It's not vertically aligned or vertically centered, and the overall look of it just looks off. So if you ever are looking at a book and you're like, there's just something about it, it just doesn't look that great, and also in the calculator it says it's likely or highly likely, then probably that book is counterfeited. Okay. So here, it's maybe a little bit more difficult for me to see this, but the one on the right has a different color tone and is narrower. I don't know. Do you guys see that? Maybe. Now, the kind of scary part is these counterfeits, a lot of them have those authentic stickers as well. So that's just because you see an authentic sticker on a book doesn't mean that the book is authentic either. Now, the letters. Pay attention to the quality of the print, as in cases of counterfeit, the pages often look cheaper and generally worse. So I'm not going to lie to you. Like if I look at both of those, it says that this one over here is the counterfeited one. This is the original one. But in my opinion, that honestly almost looks a little bit better than that one. And that's the scary part too, is that oftentimes the counterfeits are so good that they might even look, or you might even assume that they're higher quality than the original copy, but they're still counterfeit books. Okay, so the ISBN, if the ISBN doesn't match, whether that be on the back of the barcode or on the first few pages of the book, the ISBN doesn't match, that's a dead giveaway. For the barcode, sometimes the barcode on the back of the book will be like a little bit fuzzier, or it won't even scan using the Amazon Seller Central app. So that's a dead giveaway. Fly leaves, I think they mean book covers, maybe. Dust jackets, I'm not sure what that means. Headbands, I think that means for hardcover textbooks, I think they mean this. What binds the pages together. And let's see what else. And also typos. So you can see in this counterfeit textbook, it says figure 13.3 when it should say figure 15.3. So, I guess when these people are making counterfeit books, they can't always be accurate either. But there is this, counterfeit calculator that you can use. And like I said, you can just go ahead and copy and paste any ISBN in there and it'll return results for you. Now, interestingly, let's take a look at the titles that are most frequently counterfeited. And I guarantee you that some of you out there have sold some of these books. I've definitely sold some of these books. Probably some of them were counterfeit and I didn't know it at the time. But number one, The Art of Public Speaking. I see this book all the time. I see it on OfferUp, I see it on Facebook Marketplace, I see it on Craigslist, I see it when I'm around campuses buying books, I see it all over the place. And that's a book that I stay away from. Also, this Theory and Practice of Counseling and Psychotherapy as well. I don't think I've ever bought this Drugs and Society book, but apparently that one is. Essentials of Economics, Principles of Biochemistry, Anatomy and Physiology, and the list just goes on and on. So you don't necessarily need to familiarize yourself with these books, but what I would do, and the thing that I would implement in your business, is before you buy any book that's a textbook, put its Isbn into the probability check in the counterfeit calculator, because if it comes back likely or high likely, you're really gambling with your Amazon account. Because like I said, I got suspended just with 3 books out of over 1,000 books that I sold. And that was enough for them to shut my account down. Well, not shut it down, but to suspend it. And right, it was just kind of in no man's land. Just wasn't doing anything at that time. It was textbook season. I want to say I had like a $20,000 paycheck that was just sitting there that I didn't have access to because they were trying to figure out what to do with my account. So it was just a messy situation. So I hope this helped for you. This is just my own personal experience. I'm not great at it, but it's something that I implemented in my business to make it a little bit more legitimate. So if you like the content, consider liking, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.